not till 11:30, missus. When they get back from dropping their theatre fares.
Well, we must have a cab. We can't stand here till 11:30.
Well, it ain't my fault, missus.
Well, if Freddie had a bit of gumption, he would have got one at the theatre door. Oh, what would he have done, poor boy? Other people get cabs, why can't he? Oh, well, would he want a cab?
There's not one to be had for love or money.
Oh, Freddie, there must be one. You can't have tried. Oh, it's too tiresome. Do you expect us to go and get one ourselves?
I tell you, they're all engaged. The rain was so sudden, nobody was prepared, and everybody had to take a cab. I've been to Charing Cross one way, and then to the big circus the other, and they were all engaged.
Well, did you try to Trafalgar Square?
There wasn't one at Trafalgar Square.
Did you try?
I tried as far as Charing Cross Station. Do you expect me to walk to Hammersmith?
Haven't tried at all. You really are very helpless, Freddie. Now go again, and don't come back until you find a cab.
I shall simply get soaked for nothing.
What about us? Are we to stay here all night in this draught with next to nothing on? You selfish pig!
Oh, very well, I'll go! I'll go! Sorry.
Manners for you. So bunches of varlets trotting them mad.
How did you know that my son's name was Freddie? Fred?
Ah, it's your son, is it? Well, if you've done your duty by him as a mother should, he's no better to spoil a poor girl's prayers and then run away about paying. Oh, will you pay me for it?
Do nothing of the sort, Mother, the idea. Oh, please, allow me, Clara.
Oh, have you any pence?
No, I've nothing smaller than sixpence.
Oh, I'll give you change for a tenner. Kind lady.
Give it to me. There. This is for your flowers.
Thank you kindly, lady.
Well, they can give you the change. These things are only a penny a bunch. Oh, you hold your tongue, Clara. You can keep the change.
Oh, thank you, lady.
Now tell me how you know that young gentleman's name.
I didn't.
But I heard you call him by it. Now don't try to deceive me.
I was trying to deceive you. I called him Freddie or Charlie. Same as you might yourself if you were talking to a stranger and wished to be pleasant.
Sixpence thrown away, really, Mamma. You ought to have spared Freddie that. Oh, sir, is there any sign of it stopping?
I'm afraid not. It started worse than ever about 2 minutes ago.
Oh, dear.
If it's worse, it's a sign it's nearly over. So cheer up, Captain, and buy a flower for the poor girl.
I'm sorry, I haven't any change.
Oh, I can give you change, Captain.
For a sovereign, I've nothing less.
Oh, I'll do buy a flower for the Captain. I can change. Half a crown. Here, take this to Captain.
Don't be troublesome. There's a good girl. I really haven't any change. Here's 3 halfpence, if that's any use to you.
Thank you, sir.
Here, you be careful. Give him a flower for you. There's a bloke behind here taking down every blessed word you're saying.
I ain't done nothing wrong by speaking to the gentleman. I'm a right to sell flowers if I keep off the colour. I'm a respectable girl, so I'm going to have my business and go off into my flower off me.
Don't start hollering!
Exciting you.
No one's going to touch you.
Steady on.
Easy.
What's the row?
What's you doing? Where is he?
It's Tech taking the down.
What, him?
Yeah, over here. Some money off the gentleman. Oh, so don't let him charge me. You don't know what it means to me. They'll take away my character.
You silly girl, what do you take me for?
Oh, it's all right. He's a gentleman. Look at his boots. Shoes on you.
Wasn't Papa's mark?
Copper's knock.
Well, it's a proper knock, isn't it? I'm something for I take my Bible home. I never said a word to him.
Shut up. Do I look like a policeman?
Well, what did I say my words for then? How do I know if you took me down right? You just tell me what you wrote about me. What's that? That ain't proper right and I can't read that.
Yes, well I can. It says, cheer up, kitten, and buy a flower all for poor Gil.
Oh, I called him cat. No, sir, I meant no harm. Don't let him like charging him for a word.
Charge! I make no charge. Really, sir, if you are a detective, you need not begin protecting me against molestation from young women until I ask you. Anyone can see the girl meant no harm.
I said,
What business is it of yours, eh?
Yeah, you mind your own affairs.
He wants promotion, he does take him down people's words.
I never said a word to him.
What harm had she did?
Nice to have got half shelter from the rain without being insulted.
Oh, he ain't a tech. He's a blooming busybody, I'm telling you. Look at his boots.
And how are all your people down in Selsey?
Who told you our people come from Selsey?
Never you mind, they did. How do you come to be up so far east? You were born in Lisson Grove.
Oh, I was there in my leaving Lisson Grove. It wasn't fit for a pig to live in a house to pay for it.
Live where you like it. Stop that noise.
Come. He can't touch you. You have a right to live where you please.
Like Park Lane, for instance. I want to go to the housing question with you.
I'm a good girl, I am. Do you know where I'm coming from?
Hoxton.
Who said I did? That's everything. Ain't no call to meddle with me, ain't
Of course he ain't. Don't you stand for it. Now, see here. What call have you to know about other people who've never offered to meddle with you?
Let him say what he likes. I don't want to have no trouble with it. You take us for dirt on your feet, don't you? Yeah. Catch you take liberties with a gentleman.
Yeah, tell him where he's from if you want to go fortune telling. Cheltenham, Harrow, Cambridge and India.
Quite right.
He knows all about it, doesn't he? Told him proper. Yeah, you can tell where he come from.
May I ask, sir, do you do this for your living on the music hall?
I thought of that, maybe I shall someday.
No gentleman, he ain't with a feel of a ball, you know.
What on earth is Freddie doing? I shall get pneumonia if I stay here any longer.
Pneumonia, that was cool.
Remarks to yourself.
Did I say that out loud? I'm just frightfully sorry. Your mother's eczema, unmistakably.
Oh, how very curious. I was brought up in Large Lady Park near Epsom.
Large Lady Park, what a devil of a day. I'm sorry. You wanted a cab, did you?
Don't you dare speak to me. Oh, please, please, Clara. We should be so grateful to you, sir, if you found us a cab. Thank you.
There, I knowed he was a plainclothes copper.
Well, that's not a police whistle, that's a sporting whistle. There's no right to take away my character. My character's the same for me as any ladies.
I don't know whether you noticed it, but the rain stopped 2 minutes ago.
So it has. Why didn't you say so before? And us wasting our time with your silliness.
I know where you come from. You come from Hanwell. Well, you can go back there.
Hanwell.
Ah, yeah. Thank you, teacher. So long.
Frightening people like that, how would he like it himself on?
It's quite fine now, Clara. We can walk to the motor bus. Come, get the cab.
Oh, how tiresome. Poor girl. Hard enough for a little about being worried and chilled. I don't know what.
How do you do it, if I may ask?
Oh, simply phonetic.
Right.
Science of speech. That's my profession, also my hobby. Happy is the man who can make a living by his hobby. You can tell an Irishman or a Yorkshireman by his brogue. Also, I can place any man within 6 miles. I can place him within 2 miles in London, sometimes within 2 streets.
To be ashamed of himself, that man's a coward.
And is there a living in that?
Oh yeah, it's quite a fat one actually. You see, this is an age of upstarts. Men begin in Kentish Town on £80 a year and end in Park Lane on 100,000. Are they able to drop Kentish Town? But they give themselves away every time they open their mouths. Now, sir, I can teach them.
Let him mind his own business and leave a poor girl alone.
Woman! Will you cease this detestable boo-hooing instantly, or else seek the shelter of some other place of worship?
Have a right to be here in my life, same as you.
A woman who utters such disgusting and depressing sounds has no right to be anywhere, no right to live. Remember that you are a human being, and your native language is the language of Milton and Shakespeare and the Bible. So stop crooning like a billions pigeon.
Go!
Heavens, what see this creature with her curbstone English? The English that will keep her in the gutter till the end of her days? Well, sir, in 3 months I could pass that off as a duchess at an ambassador's garden party. Or better still, I could find her a position as a lady's maid or shop assistant, which requires better English.
What's that you say?
Yes, you squashed cabbage leaf. You disgrace to the noble architecture of these columns. You incarnate insult to the English language. I could pass you off as the Queen of Sheba. Can you believe that?
Oh yes, I can. I am myself a student of Indian dialects.
Huh. Are you? Are you happen to know Colonel Pickering, author of spoken Sanskrit?
I am Colonel Pickering. Who are you?
Henry Higgins, author of Higgins' Universal Alphabet.
I came from India to meet you.
I was going to India to meet you.
Where do you live?
27A, Win Boston. Come and see me.
No. I'm at the Carlton. Come with me now. We've got a jaw over some supper.
Right, you.
Why up there, can't sir? I'm short for me lodgings.
I'm sorry. I really haven't any change.
Liar. You said you could change half a crown.
You ought to be stuck with nails, you ought. And let's have the old woman basket for sixpence.
A reminder.
Hello? Where are the two ladies over here?
Well, they walk to the bus when the rain stops.
They left me with a cab on my hands. Damnation.
Oh, never mind, young man. I'm going home. In a taxi.
Well, Professor Higgins and Colonel Pickering certainly acted a jaw at Carlton last night. This is Mr. Higgins' laboratory. It's nice, isn't it? This is where he does his stuff, apparently. Bit weird if you ask me, but keeps him happy. Are you not really ready? Because they're on their way.
Well, I think that's the whole show.
It's really amazing. I haven't taken half of it in, you know.
Would you like to go over any of it again?
No, thank you. Not now. I'm quite done up for this morning.
Tired of listening to sounds?
Oh, it's a frightful strain. I used to rather fancy myself because I can distinguish between 24 individual vowel sounds, but your 130 beats me. I can't tell a bit of difference between most of them.
Oh, that comes with practice. You see, you keep listening and presently you find they're all as different as A from B from C. What is it, Mrs. Pitts?
A young woman asked to see you, sir.
Young woman? What's she want?
Well, sir, she says you'll be very glad to see her when you know what she's come about. She's quite a common girl, sir. Very common indeed. I should have sent her away, only I thought you might want her to speak into your machines. I hope I've not done wrong, sir, but really you see such queer people sometimes. Oh, you'll excuse me, I'm sure, sir.
No, that's quite right. You do very well, Mrs. Pitts. Has she an interesting accent?
Oh, something dreadful, sir. Really, I don't know how you take an interest in it.
Let's show her, shall we? Come on, show her.
Oh, very well, sir. It's for you to say.
This is rather a bit of fun. I'll show you how I take records. We'll set her talking, and then I'll take her down first in Bell's visible speech, then in broad rhetoric. Then we'll get her on the phonograph so you can turn her on as often as you like with the written transcript before you.
This is the young woman, sir.
This is the girl I jotted down last night. She's no use. I've got all the records I wanted to listen groveling on. I'm not going to waste another cylinder on it. I'll be off with you. I don't want you.
Won't you be so saucy? Right there, what I've come for you. Did you tell him I'm an attraction?
Oh, nonsense, girl. What do you think a gentleman like Mr. Higgins cares what you came for?
We are proud. Well, he ain't the above giving lessons, not him, I heard him say so. Well, I'd come here to ask for any compliment, and if my money's not good enough, I can go elsewhere.
Good enough for what?
Good enough. Forget it. Well, now you know, don't you? I'm having the lessons, I am. And you pay for them too, make no mistake.
Well, what do you expect me to say to you?
If you was a gentleman, you might ask me to sit down, I should think. That'll tell you I'm bringing your business.
Pickering, should we ask this baggage to sit down, or should we chuck her out the window?
No! I won't be called a baggage when I've offered to pay, like any lady.
What is it that you want?
I want to be a lady in a flower shop, instead of selling at the corner of Tottenham Court Road. Well, it won't take me unless I can talk more genteel. He said he could teach me. Well, here I am, ready to pay him, not asking any favour, and he treats me as if I were dirt.
How can you be such a silly, ignorant girl as to think you could afford to pay Mr. Higgins?
Oh, why shouldn't I? I know what lessons cost as well as you do, and I'm ready to pay.
How much?
Now you're talking. I thought you'd come off it when you saw the chance of getting back a bit of what you chucked at me last night. You'd had a drop in, hadn't you?
Sit down.
You're going to make a compliment of it.
Sit down!
Sit down, girl. Do as you're told.
Won't you sit down?
I don't mind if I do.
What is your name?
Liza Doolittle.
Eliza, Elizabeth Betsy Bess went off to the woods to fetch a bird's nest.
They found a nest with 4 eggs in it.
Took one apiece and left 3 in it.
Oh, don't be so silly.
You mustn't speak to the gentleman like that.
Well, why don't he speak sensible to me?
Come back to business. How much do you propose to pay me for the lesson?
Oh, I know what's right. A lady friend of mine gets French lessons for 18 pence an hour from a real French gentleman. Well, you wouldn't have the face to ask me the same for teaching me my own language as you would for French. So I'll give more than a shilling, take it or leave it.
You know, Pickle, if you consider a shilling not as a simple shilling, but as a percentage of this girl's daily income, works out as fully equivalent to 60 or 70 guineas from a millionaire. How so? I'll figure it out. A millionaire has £150 a day. She earns, say, £0.50.
Oh, don't you?
She offers me 2/5 of a day's salary for lessons. Well, 2/5 of a day's income for a millionaire would be somewhere about £60. It's handsome. By George, it's the biggest offer I've ever had.
£60? What are you talking about? I never offered you £60.
Hold your tongue.
Oh, don't cry, you silly girl. Nobody's going to touch your money. Sit down.
Somebody's going to touch you with a broomstick and you don't stop snivelling. Now sit down.
I would think it was my fault.
If I decide to teach you, I shall be worse than 2 fathers to you. Here, take this.
What's this for?
To wipe your eyes. To wipe any part of your face that feels moist. Remember, this is a sleeve, and that is a handkerchief. Do not mistake the one for the other if you wish to become a lady.
It's no use talking to her like that, Mr. Higgins. She doesn't understand you. Besides, you're quite wrong. She doesn't do it that way at all.
Hey, look at me, that handkerchief. Give it to me, not to you.
Did you know, Mrs. Smith? I think it must be regarded as hers.
Serve you right, Mr. Higgins.
Higgins, I'm interested. Of the ambassador's garden party, I'll say you're the greatest teacher alive if you can make that good. I'll bet you all the expenses of the experiment, you can't do it. And I'll pay for the lesson.
Oh, you are real good. Thank you, Captain.
Oh, I say. Oh, it's almost irresistible. She's so deliciously low, so horribly dirty.
No! I ain't done ya. I want my face there before I come on in.
Yes, well, you're not going to turn her head with flattery, Higgins.
Don't say that, sir, please. There's more ways of one than turning a girl's head, and nobody does it better than Mr. Higgins. Although I don't think he always means it. I do hope, sir, that you won't encourage him to do anything foolish.
Oh, what is life but a series of inspired follies? The difficulty is finding them to do. I'd never miss a chance. It doesn't come every day. Oh, I shall make a duchess of this draggle-tailed gutter. In 6 months, no, in 3 months, if she has a quick ear and a good tongue, I shall take her anywhere and pass her off as anything. I'll start today, now, this moment. Take her away, Mrs. Pierce, and clean her. Monkey brandy won't come off any other way. Is there a good fire in the kitchen?
Yes, but...
Then take off all her clothes and burn them. Bring up Whiteley or somebody for new ones. I'll wrap her up in brown paper so they come.
Oh, you're no gentleman, you not to talk of such things. I'm a good girl, I am. And I know what the likes of you are, I do.
We want none of your listen-grown coonery here, young woman. You've got to learn to behave like a duchess. Take her away, Mrs. Pierce. If she gives you any trouble, wallop her.
No! I'll put them with these, Mother!
But I've nowhere to put her.
Put her in the dustbin.
Higgins, be reasonable.
Yes, Mr. Higgins, you must be reasonable. Really, you must. You can't walk over everybody like this.
I walk over everybody.
You walk over it.
Everybody. My dear Colonel Pickering. My dear Mrs. Pierce. It was never my intention to walk over anybody. All I intended was that we should be kind to this poor girl. We should all help to prepare and fit her for her new station in life. If I did not express myself clearly, it was simply because I did not wish to offend this girl's sensibilities or wills.
Did you ever hear anything like that, sir?
Never, Mrs. Pierce, never.
What's the matter?
The matter is, sir, that you cannot take up a girl like that, as if you were picking up a pebble on the beach.
Why not?
Why not? You don't know anything about her. What about her parents? Or she may be married.
Down.
Ah, there. As the girl very properly said. Go. Married, indeed. Don't you know a woman of her class looks a worn-out drudge of 50 a year after she's married?
Oh, marry me.
Oh, by George, Eliza, the streets will be strewn with the bodies of young men shooting themselves for your sake before I've done with you.
Nonsense, sir. You're not to talk to the girl like that.
I'm going away. He's off his jumping, I don't want the harm he's teaching me.
Oh, indeed, I'm mad, am I? Very well, Mr. Kid. You needn't order all the new clothes for her. Throw her out.
No! You've no right to touch me.
Well, now you see what becomes of being saucy. This way, please.
I didn't want the clothes. I wouldn't have taken them up and buy my own clothes.
This! You are an ungrateful, wicked child. This is my return for offering to take you out of the gutter and dress you beautifully and make a fine lady of you. Oh.
Stop, Mr. Higgins. I won't allow this. It's you that's wicked. Go home to your parents, girl, and tell them to take better care of you.
I've got the parents. They told me I was old enough to earn my own living and turn me out.
Where's your mother?
I ain't got no mother. Oh, what turned me out was my sixth stepmother. But I'm done with her. And I'm a good girl, I am.
Very well, then what on earth is all the fuss about? The girl belongs to nobody, is of no use to anybody but me. You can adopt her, Mrs. Pierce. I'm sure a daughter will be a great distraction to you. Now, don't make any more fuss. Take her downstairs and sort her out.
But what's to become of her? Is she to be paid anything? Oh, do be sensible, sir.
Pay her whatever is necessary. Put it down in the housekeeping book. What on earth will she do with money? She'll have her food, she'll have her clothes. She'll only drink if you give her money.
Oh, you are a brute. It's a lie. Nobody ever saw the sign of liquor on me. Oh, sir, you're a gentleman. Don't let him speak to me like that.
Does it occur to you, Higgins, that the girl has some feelings?
No, I don't think so. Not any feelings you need to worry about, have you, Eliza?
I've got my feelings same as anyone else.
Do you see the difficulty, Pickering?
No.
Getting her to talk grammar. Their pronunciation is easy.
I don't want to talk grammar. I want to talk like a lady in a fair shop.
Oh, will you please stick to the point, Mr. Higgins? I want to know on what terms the girl is to be here. Is she to be paid anything? And what's to happen to her when you've finished your teaching? Oh, you must think ahead a little.
What's to become of her if we leave her in the gutter? Answer me that, Mrs. Pierce.
That's her own business, Mr. Higgins, not yours.
Very well, then, after I've finished with her, we can throw her back in the gutter, and then it will be her own business again, so that's all right.
Oh, you know, fear not in you. You don't care for nothing but yourself here. I've had enough of this old going. You ought to be ashamed of yourself, you ought.
Have a chocolate, Eliza.
How do I know what might be in them? I bet a girl was being drunk by the likes of you.
Now, pledge of good faith. I eat one half, and you eat the other. You shall have boxes of them, barrels of them, you shall live off them, eh?
I wouldn't have had it, only I'm too ladylike to take it out of my mouth.
Listen, Eliza, I think you said you came in a taxi.
Well, what if I did? I was good enough to take a taxi as anyone else.
Yes, you have, and in future you shall have as many taxis as you like. You shall ride up and down and round the town in a taxi every day. Think of that, Eliza.
It's not right, Mr. Higgins. You're tempting the girl. Now, she should think of the future.
Courage? Nonsense. Plenty of time to think of the future when you've got no future to think of. No, Eliza, do as this lady does. Think of other people's futures, but never your own. Think of chocolates and taxis and gold and diamonds.
No! I don't want no gold, no diamonds. I'm a good girl, I am.
And shall remain so under the watchful guise of Mrs. Pierce. Oh. And you shall marry. Ah, an officer in the guards. Oh. Beautiful moustache. Who shall disinherit him for marrying you, but will relent when he sees your beauty and your goodness.
Excuse me for interfering, Higgins, but Mrs. Pierce is quite right. If that girl is to put herself in your hands for 6 months for an experiment in teaching, she must understand thoroughly what she is doing.
How can she? Look, she's clearly incapable of understanding anything. Besides, how many of us really understand what it is that we're doing? If we ever did, would we ever do it?
You're very clever, Higgins, but at the present point, allow me. Now, Miss Doolittle.
That's all you'll get out of Eliza. No use explaining. As a military man, you should understand that, Pickering. Give her her orders. That's enough for her. Eliza, you are to live here for the next 6 months, learning how to speak beautifully like a lady in a shop. If you are good and behave yourself, you shall be given lots to eat, shall sleep in a proper bedroom, and be given money to take rides and taxis and buy chocolates. If you are naughty and idle, you shall sleep in the back kitchen amongst the black beetles and be walloped by Mrs. Pierce with a broomstick. That's the end of 6 months. You shall be taken in a carriage to Buckingham Palace, beautifully dressed. The king finds out that you are not a lady. You shall be taken to the Tower of London by the police, where your head will be cut off as a warning to other impertinent crowds. If you are not found out, you shall be given a present of 7 and 6 to start life with as a lady in a flower shop. As if you refuse this offer, you shall be the most wicked and ungrateful girl that ever lived, and the angels will weep for you. Now, are you satisfied? Can I put it any more plainly and fairly, Mrs. Pierce?
I think you better let me speak to the girl properly in private. I don't know whether I can take charge of her or consent to the arrangement at all. Of course, I know you don't mean her any harm, but when you get what you call interested in people's accents, you never think or care what may happen to them or you. I think you better come.
Very good, Mrs. Pierce. That's right. Bundle her off to the bathroom.
You're a great bully, you are. I won't say anything I don't like. I won't let nobody want at me. I never asked to go to Buckingham Palace. I never wanted to go to Leeds.
Don't answer that. You don't understand the gentleman. Now come on.
Oh, I'll say it right. I want to be on the kingdom on the head of the
Now come on.
If I don't want
Yes,
this one,
you have to come with me.
I'm not going to be the good.
Out you go. Now ride the steps on the way down.
Excuse the straight question, Higgins. But are you a man of good character where women are concerned?
Have you ever met a man of good character where women are concerned?
Oh yes, I do.
Yes, well I haven't. I find that the moment I let a woman make friends with me, she becomes jealous, exacting, suspicious, and a damned nuisance. I find the moment that I make friends with a woman, I become selfish and tyrannical. Women upset everything. The moment you let them into your life, you find the woman is driving at one thing and you're driving at another.
And what, for example?
Oh, Lord knows. I suppose the woman wants to live her life and the man wants to live his. And the result is they both try to drag each other onto the wrong track. Now, one wants to go north, the other wants to go south. The result is they both end up going east, though they both hate the east wind. So here I am, a confirmed old bachelor and likely to remain so.
Now, Higgins, you know what I mean. If I am to be part of this, I shall feel responsible for that girl. I hope it is clearly understood that no advantage is to be taken of her position.
That's sacred, I can assure you. You see, she'll be a pupil, and teaching pupils has to be sacred. I've taught countless, scores of American millionairesses how to speak properly. The most beautiful women in the world. I'm seasoned. Well, they might as well be blocks of wood. I might as well be a block of wood. Oh, Mrs. Pierce, is it all right?
I wish to trouble you with a word, if I may, Mr. Higgins.
Yes, certainly coming. Oh, don't burn that. I shall keep it as a curiosity.
Oh, handle it carefully, sir, please. I had to promise her not to burn it. But I think we'd better put it in the oven for a while.
Thank you, Mrs. Pierce.
No, am I in the way?
Not at all, sir.
Well, what is it you have to say to me, Mrs. Pierce?
Mr. Higgins, will you please be very particular what you say before the girl?
Of course, I'm always particular about what I say. Why do you say this to me?
No, sir, you're not at all particular. When you've mislaid something or when you get a little impatient, it doesn't matter before me, I'm used to it, but you really must not swear before the girl.
Swear? I never swear. I detest that. What the devil do you mean?
That's what I mean, sir. You swear a great deal too much. Now, it doesn't matter. I'm used to your damning and blasting and what the devil and where the devil and who the devil is.
Mrs. Pierce, really, this language from your lips.
But there is a certain word I must ask you not to use. The girl used it herself when she began to enjoy her bath. It begins with the same letter as bath. She knows no better. She learnt it at her mother's knee, but she must not hear it from your lips.
I cannot charge myself with ever having uttered the word. Except perhaps in moments of extreme and justifiable excitement.
Well, only this morning, sir, you applied it to your boots, to the butter, and to the brown bread.
A mere alliteration, Mrs. Pierce, natural to a poet.
Yes, well, whatever you choose to call it, sir, I please ask you not to repeat it in front of the girl.
Oh, very well. Very well, is that all?
No, sir. We shall have to be very particular as to personal cleanliness with this girl.
Certainly, quite right, most important.
I mean not to be slovenly in her dress, or untidy in leaving things around.
Just so, Mrs. Pierce, I intended to call your attention to those very details. It is these things that matter, Pickering. Little things. Take care of the pennies, and the pounds will take care of themselves just as true of personal habits as of money.
Yes, sir. Then might I ask you not to come down to breakfast in your dressing gown, or to use it as a napkin to the extent you do, sir. And if you would be so good as to not eat everything off the same plate, and if you could remember not to put the porridge saucepan out of your hand onto the clean tablecloth, it would set a better example to the girl. You know you almost choked with a fishbone in the jam only last week.
I may do these things in absence of mind occasionally, Mrs. Pierce, but surely I don't do them habitually. By the way, my dressing gown smells most damnably of benzene.
Well, if you will wipe your fingers all right.
Very well, I shall wipe them in my hair in the future.
I do hope you're not offended, Mr. Higgins.
No, not at all, Mrs. Pierce. You're quite right. I shall be particularly careful before the girl. Is that all?
No, sir. Could she please use some of the dresses you brought from abroad? I simply cannot put her back in her old things.
Certainly, Mrs. Pierce. Anything you want. Is that all?
That's all, sir. Thank you.
You know, Pickering, that woman has the most extraordinary ideas about me. Here I am, a shy, diffident sort of chap. Never been able to feel really grown up and tremendous like other chaps. And she's firmly persuaded that I'm some kind of bossing, overbearing, arbitrary sort of chap. I can't account for it. What is it, Mrs. Pierce?
If you please, sir, the trouble's beginning already. There is a dustman downstairs. Alfred Doolittle asked to see you. Says you have his daughter here.
I say,
Send the blackguard up.
Very well, sir.
he may not be a blackguard.
Nonsense, of course he's a blackguard.
Well, whether he is or not, I'm afraid we will have some trouble with him.
Oh, no, I think not. If there's any trouble to be had, he shall have it with me, not I with him. And besides, we're sure to get something interesting out of it.
Up the girl!
No, I mean his dialect.
Doolittle, sir.
Professor Higgins?
Here. Good morning, sit down.
Morning, Governor. I come about a very serious matter, Governor.
Brought up in Hounslow, Mother Welsh, I should think. What do you want, Doolittle?
I want my daughter, that's what I want. See?
Yes, well, of course you do. You're her father, aren't you? I'm pleased to hear you have some family feelings left. She's upstairs. Take her away at once.
What?
Take her away? You don't suppose I'm going to keep your daughter for you, do you?
Oh, now, Governor, be reasonable. I mean, is it fair of you to treat a man like this? The girl belongs to me. You got her. Where do I come in?
Your daughter had the audacity to come to my house to ask me to teach her to speak properly so that she could get a place in a flower shop. Now, this gentleman and my housekeeper have been here all the time. How dare you come here and attempt to blackmail me? You sent her here on purpose.
Oh, no, Governor.
Well, you must have. How else could you have known she was here?
Well, don't take a man up like that, Governor.
The police shall take you up. This is a plot to extort money by threats. I shall telephone for the police.
Look, have I asked you for a brass farthing? I'll leave it to this gentleman here. Have I said a word to you about money?
What did you come here for then?
Well, what else would I come for, Governor? Be human.
Alfred, did you put her up to it?
Oh, no, I never did. On my Bible oath. Well, I ain't seen the girl these 2 months past.
Well, then how did you know she was here?
Well, I'll tell you. You let me get a word in. Look, I'm willing to tell you. I'm wanting to tell you. I'm waiting to tell you.
Pickering, this chap has a certain natural gift for rhetoric. Observe his native woodnotes wild. I'm willing to tell you. I'm wanting to tell you. I'm waiting to tell you. Sentimental rhetoric. That's the Welsh strain in it. Also explains his mendacity and his dishonesty.
Steady on, Higgins. I'm West Countryman's. Doolittle, how did you know the girl was here if you didn't send her?
Well, it's like this, you see, Governor. The girl took a boy in the taxi for a jaunt at son of her landlady is. Now, he hung about on the chance that she'd give him a ride home. Well, she sent him to get her luggage when she heard that you was willing for her to stay here. Now, I met the boy in the corner of Endell Street and Long Acre.
Ah, public house, yeah.
A poor man's club, Governor, and why not?
Do let him tell his story, Higgins.
Well, he told me what was what. I mean, what was my feelings as duty as a father? I mean, I says to the boy, you bring the luggage to me, I says.
Well, why didn't you go for it yourself?
Ah, well, you see, the landlady wouldn't have given it to me, you see, Governor. She's a funny sort of woman that way. I had to give the boy a penny, the little swine, before he'd give it to me. Then, well, you know, I just brought it along to oblige her and, well, to make myself agreeable.
How much luggage?
Well, musical instrument, Governor, a few pictures, trifle jewellery and a bird cage. She didn't want no clothes. Now, what was I to think of that as a parent? What was I to think?
So you came to rescue her from a fate worse than death?
Just so. Exactly right.
But why did you bring her luggage if you meant to take her away?
Have I said a word about taking her away? Have I now?
You're going to take her away double quick.
Now look here, Governor, look, I'm not the sort of man to stand in my girl's life. Here's a career opportunity for her, as you might say.
Mrs. Pierce, this is Eliza's father. He has come to take her away. Please give her.
No, look, this is a misunderstanding.
He can't take her away, Mr. Higgins. How can he? You told me to burn her things.
Well, that's right. I can't carry her through the streets like a blooming monkey now, can I? I put it to you.
You have put it to me that you want your daughter. Take your daughter. If she has no clothes, go out and buy her some.
Well, where's the clothes she coming, eh? Did I burn them? Or did your missus here?
Oh, I am the housekeeper, if you please. I have sent for some new clothes for the girl. When they arrive, you can take her away. You can wait in the kitchen. This way, please.
Now look here, Governor. You, me, we're men of the world, ain't we?
Ah, men of the world, are we? You better go, Mrs. Pierce.
Indeed, yes, sir.
The floor is yours, Doolittle.
Oh, thank you kindly, Governor. Well, you see, the thing is, I'm taking a bit of a fancy to you, and, well, if you want to keep the girl, I'm not so set on having her back home again, that we might come to some sort of, well, you know, arrangement. I mean, regarded in the light of a young woman, she's an handsome girl, but as a daughter, well, she ain't worth her keep. I'll tell you. Look, all I ask is a father's rights. Now, I can see you're not the sort of man who'd expect me to let her go for nothing, because I can see you're a straight sort, ain't you? So, what's a £5 note to you, eh? And what's Eliza to me?
I think you should know, Doolittle, that Mr. Higgins' intentions are entirely honourable.
Well, of course they are, Governor, of course they are. If I thought otherwise, I would have asked 50.
You mean to say that you would sell your daughter for £50?
Well, no, I mean, not in a general way, I wouldn't, of course, but to oblige a gentleman like you, I'd do a very good deal, I do assure you.
Have you no morals, man?
Can't afford them, Governor. Neither could you if you was as poor as me. Now, look, I don't mean any harm, it's just that, well, if Eliza's going to get something out of this, why not me too?
I don't know what to think. I mean, there can be no question that as a matter of morals it would be a positive crime to give this chap a father, but there is a sort of rough justice to his claim.
Well, that's exactly it, Governor. I mean, it's a father's heart.
Well, I suppose I can understand the feeling, but it's hardly right.
No, don't say that, Governor. Don't take it that way. Look, now I ask you, Governors both, I ask you, what am I? I am one of the undeserving poor. That's what I am. Now, think what that means to a man. He's up against middle-class morality all the time. If there's anything going, and I put in for a bit of it, the story's always the same. You can't have it. You're undeserving. But my needs is just as great as those of, well, the most deserving widow that ever got money out of 6 different charities in 1 week for the death of the same husband. I don't need less than a deserving man. I need more. I don't eat less hearty than him, and I drink a lot more. I'm a thinking man. I want a bit of amusement. I want a song and a band, a bit of cheerfulness when I feel low. Well, why not? They charge me the same as they charge the deserving. What is middle-class morality anyway? Just an excuse for never giving me anything. Would you take advantage of a man's nature to do him out of the promise of a daughter what he's brought up and fed and clothed by the sweat of his brow until she's grown big enough to be interesting enough to you two gentlemen? Is £5 unreasonable? I'll put it to you, and I'll leave it to you.
If we were to take this chap in hand for 3 months, he could choose between a seat in the cabinet and a popular pulpit in Wales.
What do you say to that?
No, thank you kindly, Governor. I've heard all the Prime Ministers and all the preachers, because I'm a thinking man, and I'm game for politics and religion and social reform and all the other amusements. And I tell you, it's a dog's life, whichever way you look at it. Undeserving poverty, that's my way. Taken as one stage against another in society, it's the only one which has any, well, ginger to it, to my taste.
I suppose we must give him a fiver.
Oh. He'll make very bad use of it.
Oh, no, don't you think I'll spend it or save it or idle it away. Won't be a penny left by Monday. I'll have to go back to work like I never had it in the first place. It won't pauperise me. Be just one good spree for the missus and me, giving enjoyment to us, employment to others, and satisfaction to you two to know it's not been thrown away. You couldn't spend it better.
This is irresistible. Let's give him 10.
No. She wouldn't have the heart to spend 10. Well, neither would I. Otherwise, £10. It's a lot of money. Make a man feel very prudent, and then it's, well, goodbye happiness. No, you just give me what I asked for. Not a penny more, not a penny less.
Why don't you marry this missus of yours? I'd rather draw the line at encouraging this kind of immorality.
Well, you tell her, Governor. Tell her I'm the one that has to suffer for it. I have no hold on her. I mean, I have to buy her presents. I have to buy her clothes, something simple. I'm a slave to that woman just because I'm not her lawful husband. Catch her marrying me. Take my advice, Governor. You marry Eliza while she's still young and don't know no better. Because if you don't, you'll be sorry for it after. And if you do, well, she'll be sorry for it after. But better her than you. Because you're a man and she's only a woman. And she don't know how to be happy anyhow.
No, Pickering, if we listen to this chap a moment longer, we shall have no convictions left. £5, I think you said.
Thank you kindly, Governor.
Are you sure you won't take 10?
No, another time, thank you. Thank you. So long, gentlemen. Oh, excuse me, miss.
Go!
It's Eliza!
That looks silly.
Oh, silly.
Now, Mr. Higgins, don't say anything to make the girl conceited about herself.
Yes, quite right, Mrs. Bliss. Certainly, Eliza, damn silly.
Lisa.
I mean, extremely silly.
I should have gone right with me at all.
Oh,
Sure, it's a new fashion. And it ought to look horrible.
now who'd have thought she'd have cleaned up as nice as that, eh? She's a real credit to me, ain't she?
I'll tell you, it's easy to clean up here. Hot and cold water, on tap, just as much as you like there is. Woolly towel there is, and a towel or somewhat it burns your fingers. Soft brushes to scrub yourself. Oh, and a wooden bar of soap smelling like primroses. Now I know why ladies is so clean. Washing's a treat for them. Wish they could see what it is to the likes of me.
I'm pleased to see the bathroom met with your approval, Eliza.
Well, it didn't. Not all of it. And I don't care who hears me say it, Mrs. Pierce knows.
What was wrong, Mrs. Pierce?
Oh, it doesn't matter, sir, really.
I had a good mind to break it. I didn't know which way to look. I ran a towel over it, I did.
Over what?
The looking glass, sir.
Doolittle, you have brought your daughter up quite strictly.
Well, don't put it all on me. I never brought her up, except to give her a lick of the strap now and again. Look, she ain't accustomed to these things, but she'll soon get used to your free and easy ways.
I'm a good girl, I am. I don't pick up no free and easy ways.
Liza, if you say once more that you're a good girl, your father here shall take you home.
Not it. You don't know my father. All he come here for was to tax you for some money to get drunk on.
Well, what else would I want money for? Putting the church plate, I suppose. Don't you give me none of your lip. And don't let me hear you give this check any of your lip either, or you'll have me to deal with, see?
Have you any further words of wisdom to give your daughter to or a blessing, for instance?
Oh no, Governor. I ain't such a mug as to put my children up to all I know myself. I'd enough to keep them in as it is. No, if you want to improve Eliza's mind, you do it with a strap. So long, gentlemen.
Now, stop! Now, you come here and visit your daughter regularly. It's your duty, you know. My brother is a clergyman, and he can help you in your talks with her.
Well, of course I will, Governor, but, well, not this week, because I've got a job at a bit of a distance. But later on, well, you may depend on it. Afternoon, gents. Good afternoon, Mom.
Don't you believe the old liar? He'd soon you set a bulldog on him as a clergyman. You won't see him again in an hurry.
I don't want to, Eliza, do you?
Not me. I don't want never to see him again, I don't. He's a disgrace to me. He's collecting dust instead of working at his trade.
What is his trade, Eliza?
Taking money out of other people's pockets into his own. His proper trade's a navvy. And he works at it sometimes too. For exercise. And earns good money at it. Here. Aren't you going to call me Miss Doolittle no more?
I beg your pardon, Miss Doolittle. It was a slip of the tongue.
I don't mind. It sounded so genteel. I should just like to take a taxi at the corner of Tottenham Court Road and get out there and tell it to wait for me. Just to put the girls in their place a bit. I shouldn't speak to them, you know.
Better wait till we get you something really fashionable.
You shouldn't cut your old friends now, Eliza, now that you've risen in the world. That's what we call snobbery.
But you don't call the like of them my friends now, I should think. They took it out of me often enough with their ridicule when they had the chance, and now I mean to get a bit of my own back. But if I've no fashionable clothes, I'll wait. I should like to have some. Mrs. Peters says you're going to give me something to wear in bed at night, different to what I wear in the daytime. I mean, it do seem a waste when you could have something to shower. So I don't ever could fancy changing into cold things on a winter night.
Now, Eliza, the new things have come for you to try on.
Ow!
No, don't rush away. Eliza, mind the stairs in that room.
Pickering. We have taken on a stiff job.
Higgins? We have.
Well, can't go yet. I was going to say, stiff job indeed, and I do stiff drink. And you lot have only got 15 minutes, so get to the bar and don't be late back, right? Quick!
Mrs. Higgins' house.
How the other half never ate. Oh, what are you not doing? Sitting all over the furniture, making the place look untidy. Mrs. Higgins is having one of her at-homes. Her posh guests are on the way over. Come on, got to get out. Lines is here.
Henry, what are you doing here today? It's my at-home day. You promised not to come.
I know, Mother, I came on purpose.
But you mustn't. I'm serious, Henry. You offend all my friends. They stop coming whenever they need you.
Oh, nonsense. I know I have no small talk, but people don't mind.
Oh, don't they? Small talk indeed. What about your large talk? Really, dear, you mustn't stay.
Well, I must. Besides, I've got a job for you. A phonetic job.
No use, dear. I'm sorry. I can't get round your vowels. And though I like to get pretty postcards in your patent shorthand, I always have to read the copies in ordinary writing you so thoughtfully send me.
Yes, well, this isn't a phonetic job.
You said it was.
This was not your part of it. I picked up a girl.
Oh, does that mean some girl has picked you up?
Oh, not a bit of it. I don't mean a love affair.
Oh, you never fall in love with anyone under 45.
I can't be bothered with young women, Mother. My idea of a lovable woman is someone as like you as possible. I should never get into the way of seriously liking young women. Some habits like too deep to be changed. Besides, they're all idiots.
Do you know what you would do if you really loved me, Henry?
What? Marry, I suppose.
No. Stop fidgeting and take your hands out of your pockets. That's a good boy. Now tell me about the girl.
Yes, well, she's coming to see you.
I don't remember asking her.
You didn't. I did. If you'd known her, you wouldn't have asked her.
Indeed, why?
It's like this, you see, Mother. She's a common flower girl. I picked her up off the curbstone.
And invited her to my at-home.
Oh, it'll be all right. I've taught her how to speak properly. She's under strict orders as to her behaviour. She's to keep to two subjects, the weather and everybody's health. You know, fine day, how do you do, you know, that sort of thing. And not to go on things in general, that'll be safe.
Safe? To talk about our health, about our inside. I mean, perhaps about our outside. Oh, Henry, how could you be so silly?
Well, she has to talk about something else. Bus, Mother, it'll be all right. Besides, Pickering is in it with me. I've a sort of bet on that I can't pass her off as a duchess in 6 months. Well, I've been at her for some time, and she's getting on like a house on fire. I shall win my bet. She's got a quick ear, and she's been easier to teach than my middle-class students, because she's had to learn a complete new language. She talks English like you talk French.
Oh, well, that's satisfactory at all events.
Yes, well, it is and it isn't.
What does that mean?
Well, you see, I've got a pronunciation all right, but you have to consider not only how a girl pronounces, but what she pronounces, and that's where I think you know.
Mrs. and Miss Eynsford Hill.
Oh, how do you do?
How do you do? How do you do?
How do you do? My son Henry.
Oh, your celebrated son. I'm so long to meet you, Professor Higgins.
Delighted.
How do you do?
I've met you somewhere before. I haven't personally known where, but I've heard your voice. Oh, it doesn't matter, you better sit down.
I'm sorry to say my celebrated son has no manners. You mustn't mind him.
I don't. Not at all.
Have I been rude? I'm very sorry.
Colonel Pickering.
How do you do, Mrs. Higgins?
I'm so glad you've come. Do you know Mrs. Eynsford Hill? Miss Eynsford Hill?
Has Henry told you what we've come for?
No, we were interrupted, damn it.
Henry, really?
Oh, in the way?
No, you couldn't have come more fortunately. We want you to meet a friend of ours.
Yes, by George. Yes, We want 2 or 3 people, and you'll do as well as anybody else.
Mr. Einsford.
God in heaven, another of them.
How do you do?
I'm so glad you've come. Colonel Pickering.
How do you do?
I don't think you know my son, Professor Higgins.
How do you do?
Take my oath, I've met you somewhere before. Where was it?
I don't think so.
Well, don't matter, you better sit down. What the devil are we going to talk about until Eliza gets here?
Henry, you are the life and soul of the Royal Society soirees. But really you're rather trying on more commonplace occasions.
Am I? Yes, well, I suppose I am.
Well, I sympathise. I haven't any small talk. If people would only be frank and say what they really think.
Oh, Lord forbid.
But why?
Well, what people think they ought to think is bad enough, but what people really think, well, that would break up the whole show. Do you think it would be at all agreeable if I were to come out now with what I really think?
It's so very cynical.
Cynical? Who did Dickens say it was cynical? No, I mean, it wouldn't be decent.
Oh, I'm sure you don't mean that, Mr. Higgins.
You see, we're all savages. Oh, yes. We're supposed to be cultured and civilized. We know all about art and science and philosophy and poetry, but how many of us even understand the meaning of these words? I mean, what do you know about poetry? And what do you know about science? And what does he know about art or science or anything? What the devil do you think? Imagine that I know about philosophy.
Or of manners, Henry.
Miss Doolittle.
Here she is, Mother.
How do you do, Mrs. Higgins? Mr. Higgins told me I might come.
Quite right. I am delighted to see you.
How do you do, Miss Doolittle?
Colonel Pickering, is it not? I feel sure we've met before, Miss Doolittle. I remember your eyes. How do you do?
My daughter Clara?
How do you do?
I'm certain I've had the pleasure.
My son Freddie.
How do you do?
Yes, by George, it all comes back to me. Covent Garden. What a damn thing.
Henry, please. And don't you dare think of sitting on my writing table. Because you'll break it.
Sorry.
Away. Will it rain, do you think?
The shadow depression to the west of these islands is likely to move slowly in an easterly direction. There are indications of any great change in the barometric situation.
How awfully funny.
What is wrong with that young man? I bet I got it right.
Killing.
Well, I'm sure I hope it won't turn cold. There's so much influenza about. It runs right through my entire family regularly every spring.
My aunt died of influenza. So they say. But it's my belief they've done the old woman in. Yes, good Lord. Why should she die of influenza? She come through diphtheria right enough the year before. I saw her with my own eyes, fair blue with it she was. They all thought she was dead. But my father, he kept on ladling gin down her throat till she come to so sudden that she bit the bone off the spoon. Dear me! That's strange. That would straw hat that should have come to me. Somebody pinched it. And what I say is, them as pinched it, son her in.
What does doing her in mean?
Oh, that's the new small talk. To do someone in means to kill.
You surely don't believe your aunt was killed.
Do I not? Them she lived with would have killed half a het pin, let alone a het.
But it can't have been right for your father to pour spirits down her throat like that. He might have killed her.
Not her. The gin was mother's milk to husband. Besides, he poured so much down his own throat that he knew the good of it.
You mean that he drank?
He drank, my word. Something chronic. It never did him no harm, what I could see. But then, he did not keep it up regular. On the burst, as you might say. From time to time. And always more agreeable when he had a drop in. When he was out of wine, my mother used to give him talk and tell him to go and not come back until he'd drunk himself cheerful and loving like. There's lots of women has to make their husbands drunk to make them fit to live with. You see, it's like this. If a man has a bit of conscience, it always takes him when he's sober. And then it makes him low-spirited. A drop of booze just takes that off and makes him happy. Here. What are you staring at?
The new small talk. You do it so awfully well.
If I was doing it proper, what was you laughing at? Have I said anything
No, nothing at all.
Well, that's a mercy anyhow. What I always say. I must go. So pleased to have met you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Colonel Pickering.
Goodbye, Miss Doolittle.
Goodbye. All.
Are you walking across the park, Mr. Little? If so, I would walk.
Look bloody like
I really can't get used to these new ways.
Right, Mamma, quite right. People will think we never go anywhere or see anybody if you're old-fashioned.
Well, I dare say I am very old-fashioned, but I do hope you won't start using that expression, Clara. I've got accustomed to hearing you talk of men as rotters, and calling everything filthy and beastly, though I do think it very unladylike and horrible. But this last is really too much. Well, don't you think so, Colonel Pickering?
No, don't ask me. I've been away in India for some years and manners have changed so much. Sometimes I don't know if I'm at a respectable dinner table or in a ship's forecastle.
Well, it's all a matter of habit. There's no right or wrong in it. Nobody means anything by it. And it's so quaint and gives such smart emphasis to things that aren't in themselves at all very witty. I find the new small talk delightful and quite innocent.
Well, after that, I think it's time for us to go.
Oh, yes. We have 3 more turns to go to still. Goodbye, Mrs. Higgins.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Colonel Pickering. Goodbye, Professor Higgins.
Goodbye. And don't forget to try out that new small talk with the 3 adverbs. Oh, don't be nervous about it. Pitch it in strong.
Yes, I will. Such nonsense, all this early Victorian prudery.
Such damned nonsense.
Such bloody nonsense.
Miss Doolittle again?
Yes, I will. Most often.
Oh, well then you know my days.
Yes. Thanks, Sophie.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Well, goodbye, Mr. Higgins.
Yes, goodbye, goodbye.
It's no use. I shall never be able to bring myself to use that word.
Well, don't. It's not compulsory, you know. You get on quite well without it.
Only Clara is so down on me if I'm not positively reeking with the latest slang. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
You mustn't mind Clara. Poor child, we get so few parties that she doesn't quite know. But the boy is quite nice, don't you think?
Oh, he's quite nice. I shall always be delighted to see him.
Oh, thank you, dear. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Mother, is Eliza presentable?
You silly boy, of course she's not presentable. She's a triumph of your art and of her dressmakers. But if you think she doesn't give herself away in every sentence she utters, then you must be perfectly cracked about her.
But don't you think something might be done? I mean, something to eliminate the sanguinary element of a conversation.
Not as long as she's left in Henry's hands.
Do you mean to say that my language is improper?
Oh, no, dear. It would be quite proper, say, on a canal barge. It would not be proper for her at a garden party.
Well, I must say...
No, come, Higgins, you must learn to know yourself. I haven't heard such language as yours since we used to review the volunteers in Hyde Park 20 years ago.
Well, if you say so, I suppose I don't always talk like a bishop.
You don't.
Colonel Pickering, tell me what is the exact state of things at Wimpole Street?
Well, I've come to live there with Henry, and we work together on my Indian dialects, and well, we...
Yes, I know all about that. Quite right, and it's a very, very excellent arrangement.
Yes, it is.
But where does this girl live?
With us, of course. Where should she live?
But on what terms? I mean, is she a servant? If not, what is she?
I think I know what you mean, Mrs. Higgins.
Well, dash me if I do. I've had to work months at the girl to get her to a present pitch. Besides, she's useful. She knows where my things are and remembers my appointments and so forth.
How does your housekeeper get on with her?
Oh, yes, she's jolly pleased to have so much taken off her plate, because before Eliza came, well, she used to have to find my things and remember my appointments. She's got some sort of silly bee in her bonnet. She keeps on saying, "You don't think so." And she said, "Don't she, Pig?"
That's the formula. You don't think so. That ends every conversation about Eliza.
As if I ever stopped thinking about Eliza and her blessed vowels and consonants. I'm worn out thinking about her and watching her lips and her teeth and her tongue and her soul, which is the quaintest of the lot.
You certainly are a pretty pair of babies playing with your live doll.
Playing? This is the hardest job I ever tackled. Make no mistake about it, Mother. You have no idea how frightfully interesting it is to take a human being and turn her into a different human being simply by creating a new language for her. It's filling the deepest gulf that separates class from class and soul from soul.
I tell you, Mrs. Higgins, it's tremendously exciting. I mean, we take Eliza very, very seriously. Every week, every day almost, there's some new change, and we record every stage. We've got dozens of gramophone discs and photographs.
It's the most absorbing experiment I ever tackled. She regularly fills our lives, don't you, Pip?
We're always talking Eliza,
teaching Eliza,
dressing Eliza.
What? Inventing new Elizas. She has.
I assure you, that girl is a genius. She plays the piano quite beautifully. We take her to classical concerts and music hall. It's all the same to her. She plays everything she is straight off the moment she gets home with it. Beethoven and Brahms, all they hard and
Stop! Shush! Shush! Shush!
I beg your pardon.
Sorry, Mother. Yeah, but when Pickering starts shouting, nobody can get away with it.
Be quiet! Colonel Pickering.
Yes.
Do you not realise that when Eliza walked into Wimpole Street, something walked in with her?
Her father. But Henry soon got rid of him.
It would have been more to the point if her mother had, but her mother didn't. So something else did.
Something else, yes, yes. What?
A problem.
The problem of how to pass her off as a lady.
Oh, I'll solve that problem. I've half solved it.
Oh, no, you two infinitely stupid male creatures. The problem of what is to be done with her afterwards.
Oh, I don't see anything in that, Mother. She can go her own way with all of the advantages I've given her.
The advantages of that poor woman who was here just now? I mean, the manners and habits that disqualify a fine lady from earning her own living without giving her a fine lady's income anyway. Is that what you mean?
Oh, that'll be all right, Mrs. Higgins.
We'll find her some light employment.
She's happy enough. Don't you worry yourself about her.
I shouldn't bother about it if I were you, Mother. The thing's over and done. Goodbye.
There are plenty of openings. We'll do what's right. Goodbye.
Let's take it to the Shakespeare exhibition.
Bell's Court. That comments will be delicious.
She'll mimic everybody more to it.
Men! Men!
Well, a few months have gone by and there's been quite a few changes in the Higgins household. The three of them have been out on a right old jolly today. Garden party, drinks reception, evening reception, they've had a lovely time. Well, Higgs and Pick seem to have enjoyed themselves. I'm not so sure about our Liza. We all done then, girls? Yeah, great, because they're on their way back.
I say, if you're really more comfortable, you're trying to go.
Right. Now, Mrs. Pierce, go to bed. We don't need anything else, do we? Lord, no. Say, Mrs. Pierce will row if we leave these things all over the drawing room.
Oh, chuck them over the banisters into the hall. You'll find them in the morning and put them away, all right? She'll think we're drunk.
Well, we are a little. Were there any letters?
I didn't look.
Oh, I didn't look.
I wonder where the devil my slippers are.
Circulars and this coroneted billet doux for you.
Money lender. Look, what an evening. Oh, what a crew. What a silly tomfoolery. Oh, there.
I must say I'm tired. It's been quite a day. The garden party, dinner party, reception. Rather too much of a good thing. But you won your bet, Higgins. Eliza did the trick and something to spare, eh?
Thank God it's all over.
Were you nervous at the garden party? I was. Eliza didn't seem to be a bit nervous.
No, she wasn't nervous. I told you she'd be all right. No, it's the strain of putting the thing through all these months has told on me. I mean, it was interesting at first while we were at the phonetics stage, but after that I grew deadly sick of it. If I hadn't backed myself to do the whole thing, I should have chucked the whole thing up months ago. That was a silly notion. The whole thing's been a bore.
Oh, come! The garden party was tremendously exciting. My heart began beating like anything.
Yes, for the first 3 minutes. But when I found out that we were going to win hands down, I felt like a bear stuck in a cage, hanging about and doing nothing. And the dinner was worse. Sitting there gorging for over an hour, with nobody to talk to but that damn fool of a fashionable woman. I tell you, Pickering, no more artificial duchesses for me. The whole thing has been simple purgatory.
The trouble is, you've never been broken in properly to the social routine. I rather enjoy dipping into it occasionally myself. Makes me feel young again. Anyway, it was a great success, an immense success. I was quite worried once or twice that Eliza was doing it too well. You see, some of the real people can't do it at all. They're such fools, they think that style comes by nature to people in their position, so they never learn. There's always something professional about doing a thing superlatively well.
That's what drives me mad. The silly people don't know their own silly business. Yeah. However, it's over and done with, and now at last I can go to bed without dreading tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I think I'll turn in too. It's been a great occasion. And a triumph for you. Good night.
Good night. Turn out the lights, Eliza, and tell Mrs. Pierce not to make coffee for me in the morning. I'll take tea. Anything wrong?
No, nothing wrong with you. I won your bet, haven't you, haven't I? That's enough for you. I don't matter, I suppose.
You won my bet. You presumptuous insect. I won it. You throw those stones at me for?
Because I wanted to smash your face. And like a killing, you selfish brute. Why didn't you leave me where you picked me out of in the gutter? You said, God, it's all over, and now you can throw me back there, do you?
Ah, so the creature is nervous after all. Would you? Claws in, you cat. How dare you show your temper to me? Sit down.
What's to become of me?
How do I know what's to become of you? What does it matter what's to become of you?
You don't care. I know you don't care. You wouldn't care if I was dead. I'm nothing to you. Not so much as them slippers.
Those slippers!
Those slippers.
Why have you begun going on like this? Can I ask if you've complained of your treatment here?
No.
Has anybody behaved badly towards you? Mrs. Pierce? Colonel Pickering? Any of the servants?
No.
I presume you don't pretend that I have treated you badly.
No.
I'm pleased to hear it. Perhaps you're tired after the strain of the day. Will you have a glass of champagne?
No. Thank you.
This has been coming on you for some time now. I knew that it was going to be tricky dealing with I knew that you were going to be anxious, the strain of the garden party, but it's all over now. You've no more need to worry.
No. Nothing more for you to worry about. Oh God, I wish I were dead.
In heaven's name, why, Eliza? All this irritation, it's purely subjective.
I don't understand, I'm too ignorant.
It's only your imagination, low spirits, nothing else. Nobody's hurting you, nothing's wrong. You go to bed, have a good sleep, have a little cry, say your prayers, and that'll make you feel better.
I heard your prayers. Thank God it's all over.
Yes, well, don't you thank God it's all over? Oh, now you are free and can do whatever you like.
What am I fit for? What have you left me fit for? Where am I to go? What am I to do? What's to become of me?
Ah, so that's what's worrying you, is it? Ah, you shouldn't bother about that if I were you. I should imagine you won't have much difficulty in settling yourself somewhere or other. So I hadn't quite realised that you were going away. You might marry, you know. All men are not confirmed old bachelors like Pickering and myself. In fact, most men are the marrying kind. Poor devils. And you're not bad looking. In fact, sometimes it's quite a pleasure to look at you. Well, not now, because you're all crying and looking as ugly as the very devil. And you're all right and quite yourself. You're what I should call attractive. To people in the marrying line, you understand. You go to bed, sleep it off, get up in the morning and look at yourself in the glass, and then you won't feel so cheap. I dare say my mother could find you some chap or other who'd do very well.
We're above that. At the corner of Tottenham Court Road.
What do you mean?
I sold flowers. I didn't sell myself. Now you've made a lady of me and I'm not fit to sell anything else. I wish you'd left me where you found me.
Tosh, Eliza, don't go insulting human relations by dragging all this cant about buying and selling into it. You needn't marry him. You needn't marry the fellow if you don't like him.
Well, what else am I to do?
Oh, lots of things. Well, what about your old idea of opening a flower shop? Pickering has lots of money. You'll have to pay for all those togs you've been wearing today, and that with the hire of the jewellery will make a big hole in £200. By George, Eliza, 6 months ago you would have thought it a millennium to have a flower shop you could call your own. Come, we'll be all right. Now I must go to bed. I'm deliciously sleepy. By the way, I came down for something. What was it?
Your slippers.
Yes. You shied them at me.
Before you go, sir. Do my clothes belong to me or to Colonel Pickering?
What the devil use would they be to Pickering?
Well, he might want them for the next girl you pick up to experiment on.
Oh, I see. So that's the way you feel about it.
But I don't want to hear anything more about that. All I want to know is whether anything belongs to me. My own clothes were burned.
But what does it matter? Why need you go on about this in the middle of the night?
I want to know what I may take away with me. I don't want to be accused of stealing.
Steal? You shouldn't have said that, Eliza. That shows a want of feeling.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm only a common, ignorant girl. And in my station, I have to be careful. There can't be any feelings between the like of you and the like of me. Please, will you tell me what belongs to me and what doesn't?
You may take the whole damned household if you like, except for the jewels they're hired. Will that satisfy you?
Stop, please. Will you take these to your room and keep them safe? Don't want to run the risk of their going missing.
Hand them over. These belong to me instead of the jewel. I'd run them down your ungrateful throat.
This ring isn't the jeweller's. It's the one you bought me in Brighton. I don't want it now. Don't do it!
It's you. It's you, you infamous creature. It is you who have hit me. You have wounded me to the heart.
Oh, I'm glad. I've got a little of my own back anyhow.
You have caused me to lose my temper. A thing that has hardly ever happened. I prefer to say no more about it tonight. I am going to bed.
Well, you'd better leave a note for Mrs. Pierce about the coffee, but she won't be told by me.
Damn Mrs. Pierce! Damn the coffee and damn you! Damn my own folly in having lavished my hard-earned knowledge of the treasure of my regard and intimacy on a heartless gutter snipe.
Well, can you adamantly hear, eh? All that screaming and shouting. And our Liza supposed to be a lady now. Oh, well, that is sewing the ring into the bed. If you didn't want it, you should have taken it down the pawn shop. Anyway, are you girls nearly ready?
Yeah, we're getting there.
Well, keep your hair on. Oi, I can hear you, you know.
Maybe she'd like to do it.
Mr. Henry, Ma'am, is downstairs with Colonel Pickle.
Oh, we'll show them up.
Well, they're using the telephone, Ma'am. They're telephoning to the police, I think.
What?
Mr. Henry's in a state, Ma'am. I thought I'd better tell you.
If you had told me Mr. Henry was not in a state, it would have been more surprising. We'll tell them to come up when they're finished with the police. I suppose he's lost something?
Yes, Ma'am.
Oh, and go upstairs and tell Miss Doolittle that Mr. Henry and the Colonel are here. Ask her not to come down until I send for her.
Yes, Ma'am. Oh, Mr. Henry.
Look here, Mother, here's a confounded thing.
Yes, dear, good morning. What is it?
Eliza's bolted.
Oh, well, you must have frightened her.
Frightened her? Nonsense. She was left last night to put out the lights and all that, but instead of going to bed, she got changed and went right off. Her bed wasn't slept in. She came back for her thing in a cab before 7 this morning, and that fool, Mrs. Pierce, let her have them without telling me a word about it. What am I to do?
Do without, I'm afraid, dear. The girl has a perfect right to leave if she chooses.
Yes, but I can't find anything. I have no idea what appointments I've got.
Good morning, Mrs. Higgins. Has Henry told you?
What does the ass of an inspector say? Have you offered him a reward?
You don't mean to say you set the police after Eliza?
Of course. What are the police? What are we supposed to do?
The inspector made all sorts of difficulties. I rather think he suspects us of some improper purpose.
Well, of course he did. What right of you to go to the police and give the girl's name as if she were a thief or a lost umbrella or something, really?
Well, we want to find her.
We couldn't let her go like that, Mrs. Higgins.
Oh, you
what were
have
we to do?
no more sense, either of you, than two children. Why, if I had my way,
Mr. Henry, a gentleman wants to see you, very particular. He's been sent on from Wimpole Street.
Oh, Father, I can't see anybody now. Who is it?
Mr. Doolittle.
Doolittle? The dustman?
Dustman? Oh, no, sir. A gentleman.
Fine. George Pickering. This is some relative of hers or other that she's gone to. Somebody we know nothing about. Send him up.
Yes, sir.
Genteel relatives. Ah, now we shall hear something.
Well, do you know any of her people?
Only her father. You know, the fellow we told you about.
Mr. Doolittle.
See here. You done this. You done this, Henry Higgins.
Done what, man?
This! Look at this coat! Look at this hat!
Has Eliza been buying you clothes?
Eliza, not she. Why would she buy me clothes?
Good morning, Mr. Doolittle. Won't you sit down?
Oh, I'm begging your pardon, Ma'am. I'm so taken up with what's been happening to me that I can't think of anything else.
What the dickens has happened to you?
Anything could happen to anybody, and nobody to blame but Providence. But this, oh, you done this, Henry Higgins.
Have you found Eliza?
Have you lost her?
Yes.
You have all the luck. No, I ain't found her, but she'll find me soon enough when she knows what you've done to me.
But what has my son done to you, Mr. Doolittle?
Done to me? He's tied me up and delivered me into the hands of middle-class morality.
Raving, you're drunk, you're mad. I gave you £5. After that, we had 2 conversations at £0.50 an hour. I haven't seen you since.
Oh, drunk am I? Mad am I? Well, tell me this. Did you or did you not write a letter to some old blighter in America what's giving away 5 millions to form moral reform leagues all over the world and asked you to invent a universal language for him?
Ezra D. Wannafellow, he's dead.
Yes, he's dead and I'm done for. Did you not write to him to say that the most original moralist in England at present, to the best of your knowledge, was one Alfred Doolittle, a common dustman?
Well, after our first meeting, yes, I remember making some silly joke at the time.
Oh, you may think it's a silly joke, but it's put the lid on me. It did just what he wanted. Give him the chance to show that Americans is not like us, that they respect and recognise merit in every class, however humble it is. And them words is in his blooming will, in which, Henry Higgins, thanks to your silly joke, he leaves me a share in his pre-digested cheese trust worth £3,000 a year, on condition that I lecture for the Wannafellow Moral World Reform League as often as they ask me, or at least 6 times a year.
The devil he does. What a lark.
Same thing for you, Doolittle. They won't ask you twice.
Well, it ain't the lecturing I mind. I mean, I'll lecture them till they're blue in the face and not turn an hair. But it's the making a gentleman of me that I object to. What gives them the right to make a gentleman of me? I was happy. I was free. I touched nigh everybody I wanted for money. When I wanted to, just like I touched you, Henry Higgins. Now I'm warranted, tied neck and heels, and everyone touches me for money. It's a fine thing for you, says my solicitor. Is it, says I. You mean it's a good thing for you? When I was a poor man, I had a solicitor once. When they found a pram in the back of the dust cart, and he got me off. And then he got shot of me, and I got shot of him. And it's the same with the doctors. They used to shove me out the hospital before I could hardly walk on my 2 legs, and nothing to pay. Now it seems, I am not an healthy man. I have to be looked after at least twice a day. In the house, it's the same. I ain't let do an hand's turn, but someone else has to do it for me, and touch me for it. A year ago, I never had a relative in the world, except 2 or 3, who never talked to me, and now I've got 50, and not a decent week's wages amongst a lot of them. I have to live my life for others and not for myself. That's middle-class morality for you. You talk about losing Eliza. Don't you be so anxious. She'll be on my doorstep before this. Her that could support herself easy selling flowers before I come respectable. And the next person that touched me will be you, Henry Higgins. Yes, I'll have to learn to speak middle-class language instead of speaking proper English. That's where you all come in. And I dare say, that's what you've done it for.
But my dear Mr. Doolittle, you need not suffer any of this if you are really in earnest. Nobody can force you to accept this bequest. You can repudiate it. I mean, isn't that so, Colonel Pickering?
I believe so.
Oh, well, you see, Ma'am, that's the tragedy of it. I'd like to chuck it in, but it's not that easy, is it? I mean, I'm intimidated. We're all intimidated. That's what it is. Now, what is there for me if I chuck it in? But the workhouse. I already have to dye my hair, what's left of it, to keep my job as a dustman. If I was one of the deserving poor, with a bit put by, well, maybe, I could chuck it in. But then why should I? Because for all the happiness the deserving poor have, they might as well be millionaires. But I, as one of the undeserving poor, have nothing between me and the pauper's uniform but this here blasted £3,000 a year, which shoves me into the middle classes. I apologise for my expression, Ma'am, but you'd use the same one if you had my provocation. They've got you every which way you like. It's a choice between the skilly in a workhouse and the car biddest of the middle classes. And I have the nerve for the workhouse. Intimidated, that's what I am. Broke. Brought up. Happy men than me will call for my dust and touch me for their tips. And I'll have to stand looking on with envy, helpless. That's what your son's brought me to.
Well, I'm glad you're not going to do anything foolish, Mr. Doolittle. For this solves the problem of Eliza's future. You can provide for her now.
Oh, yes, I've got to provide for everyone now, out of £3,000 a year.
You can't provide for her, they shan't provide for her. If you took £5 for the girl, you can't take the girl as well.
Well, you're like me, Henry. It's a little of both. We're both the same, you and me.
Yes, well, you took the money for the girl. You can't take her as well.
Henry, don't be absurd. If you want to know where Eliza is, she is upstairs.
Upstairs? Then I shall jolly soon fetch her down.
Henry, be quiet and sit down.
Very well.
Sit down, please.
But I do think you could have told us this half an hour ago.
Eliza came to me this morning. She told me of the brutal way you two had treated her.
She's been telling you stories, Mrs. Higgins. We didn't treat her brutally. We hardly said a word to her. We parted on particularly good terms. Higgins, did you bully her after I went to bed?
Just the other way about. She threw my slippers at me. She behaved in a most outrageous fashion, and I never gave her the slightest provocation. The slippers came bang into my face the moment I opened the door. And she used the most perfectly awful language.
Why? What do we do to her?
I think I know pretty well what you did. The girl is naturally rather affectionate, I think, Mr. Doolittle.
Very tender-hearted, Ma'am. Takes after me.
Just so. She had become attached to you both. She worked very hard for you, Henry. I don't think you quite realise what anything in the way of brain work means to a girl of her class. Well, it seems that when the great day of trial came, and she did this wonderful thing for you without making a single mistake, you two sat and never said a word to her, but talked together of how glad you were it was all over and how bored you'd been with the whole thing. And then you were surprised because she threw your slippers at you. I would have thrown the fire irons at you.
All we said was that we were tired and we wanted to go to bed, didn't we, Pip?
That was all.
Oh, are you sure?
Absolutely, that was all.
Oh, you didn't thank her, or pet her, or admire her, or tell her how splendid she'd been?
Oh, she knew all that. We didn't make speeches to her, if that's what you mean.
Yeah. Perhaps we have been a little inconsiderate. Is she very angry?
Well, I'm afraid she won't go back to Wimpole Street. Especially now that Mr. Doolittle can keep up the position you thrust on her. She is willing to meet you on friendly terms and to let bygones be bygones.
Oh, will she, by George? Oh.
Henry, if you promise to behave yourself, I will ask her to come down. If not, please go home. You've taken up quite enough of my time.
Very well. But You behave yourself, Pickering. Put on our best Sunday manners for this creature we have picked out of the mud.
Oh, now, Henry Higgins. Have some consideration for my feelings, now that I'm a middle-class man.
Remember your promise, Henry. Mr. Doolittle, could I ask you to step into the next room? I don't want Eliza to have the shock of your news before she's made it up with these two gentlemen and mine.
As you wish, lady. Anything that helps Henry keep her off of my hands.
Ask Miss Doolittle to come down, please. Now, Henry, be good.
I am behaving myself perfectly.
He's doing his best, Mrs. Higgins.
Henry, that's not a very nice attitude.
I'm not trying to look nice, Mother.
It doesn't matter, dear. I was only trying to make you speak.
Why?
Because you can't speak and whistle at the same time.
Damn the girl! Are we going to have to wait here all day for her? Ah.
How do you do, Professor Higgins? Are you quite well? Oh, well, of course you are. You're never ill. So glad to see you again, Colonel Pickering. Quite chilly this morning, isn't it?
Don't you dare try this game on me. I taught it to you and it doesn't take me in. Get up and come home and stop being so silly.
Oh, very nicely put indeed, Henry. No woman could resist such an invitation.
You let her alone, Mother. Let her speak for herself, and you'll soon see if she has the word that I haven't put into her mouth and an idea I haven't put into her head. You see, I have created this thing, this creature, out of the squashed cabbage leaves of Covent Garden, and she pretends to play the fine lady with me. Ah!
Yes, dear, but you'll sit down, won't you?
Will you drop me altogether now that the experiment is over, Colonel Pickering?
Don't. You mustn't think of it as an experiment. It shocks me somehow.
Oh, I'm only a squashed cabbage.
No.
But I owe so much to you that I should be very unhappy if you forgot.
Well, it's very kind of you to say so, Miss Doolittle.
It's not because you paid for my dresses. I know you're generous to everybody with money. But it was from you that I learned really nice manners. And that is what makes one a lady, isn't it? You see, it's so very difficult with the example of Professor Higgins is always before me. I was brought up to be just like him, unable to control myself, and using bad language on the slightest provocation. And I should never have known that ladies and gentlemen didn't behave like that, if you hadn't been there.
That's just his way, you know. He doesn't mean it.
No, I didn't mean it either, when I was a flower girl. But you see, I did it. And that's what makes the difference after all.
No doubt, but he taught you to speak, you know, and I couldn't have done that.
Well, of course. That is his profession.
Damn.
He was just like learning to dance in the fashionable way. There was nothing more than that in it. But do you know what began my real education?
No.
You're calling me Miss Doolittle that day when I first came to Wimpole Street. That was the beginning of self-respect for me. And there were 100 little things you never noticed, because they came naturally to you. Things about standing up and taking off your hat and opening doors.
No, that was nothing.
Yes. Things that showed that you thought and felt about me as if I was something better than a scullery maid. Though of course I know you would have been just the same to a scullery maid, if she'd been allowed to the drawing room. You never took off your boots in the dining room when I was there.
Oh, you mustn't mind about that. Higgins takes his boots off all over the place.
Oh, I know. I'm not blaming him. It is his way, isn't it? But you see, it made such a difference to me that you didn't. You see, really and truly, apart from the things everyone could pick up, the dressing and the proper way of speaking and so on, the difference between a lady and a flower girl It's not how she behaves, but how she's treated. I shall always be a flower girl for Professor Higgins, because he always treats me as a flower girl, and always will. But I know I can be a lady to you, because you always treat me as a lady, and always will.
Please don't grind your teeth, Henry.
Well, this is really very nice, Miss Doolittle.
I should like you to call me Eliza now, if you would.
Thank you. Eliza, of course.
And I should like Professor Higgins to call me Miss Doolittle.
I'll see you damned first.
Henry, Henry.
Why don't you slang back at him? Don't stand at him, doing no end of good.
I can't. I could have done it once, but now I can't go back to it. You told me once, you know, that when a child is brought to a foreign country, it picks up the language in a matter of weeks and forgets its own. Well, I'm a child in your country. I've forgotten my own language and can speak nothing but yours. That's the real break-off with the corner of Tottenham Court Road. Leaving Wimpole Street finishes it.
Oh, if you come back to Wimpole Street, won't you? You will forgive Higgins.
Oh, forgive, by George! I let her alone. Let her go. Let her find out for herself how she can get along without us. She will relapse into the gutter within 3 weeks without me at her elbow.
He's incorrigible. You won't relapse, will you, Eliza?
No, not now. Never again. I have learnt my lesson. You know, I don't think I could utter one of the old sounds now if I tried.
Just so! Ow! Ow! Victory! Ow! Victory!
Can you blame the girl? Well, don't look at me like that, Liza, just because I've come into some money.
You must have touched a millionaire this time, Dad.
I am. But I'm dressed up something special today. I'm going to St George's in Hanover Square. Your stepmother is going to marry me.
You're going to let yourself down to marry that low, common woman.
Well, he ought to, Eliza. What made her change her mind?
Intimidation, Governor. Middle-class morality claims its victim. Well, you put your hat on and turn out to see me off, won't you, Liza?
Well, if the Colonel says I must, I'll demean myself. I'm getting insulted for my pains, I cannot.
Don't be afraid, she don't go off at people these days, you see. Respectability has broken all her spirit.
Be kind to them, Eliza. Make the best of it.
Just to show there's no ill feeling. I'll be back in a moment.
I'm uncommon nervous about the ceremony, Colonel. Would you come and see me through it?
Don't, old man, you've been through it all before. I mean, you were married to Eliza's mother.
Who told you that?
Well, nobody told me, I just assumed that.
No, that ain't the natural way. That's the middle-class way. My way was always the undeserving way. But you see, Liza don't know about that, and I've always had a bit of a delicacy about telling her. You won't say nothing.
Right too, I will. Keep it that way if you don't mind.
And you'll come to church and see me through it?
With pleasure, insofar as a bachelor can.
Oh, may I come, Mr. Doolittle? I would be so sorry to miss your wedding.
I would be honoured by your condescension, ma'am. And my dear old woman would take it as a tremendous compliment. She's been rather low lately, thinking of the happy days that are no more.
Then I will go to the carriage and get ready. It shan't be more than 15 minutes. I'm going to the church to see your father married Eliza. Now, you had better come and agree with me. And Colonel Pickering, would you go on with the bridegroom?
Bridegroom? Oh, very sound of the word makes a man realise his position.
Before I go, Eliza, do forgive Higgins and come back to us.
I don't think Dad would allow me, would you, Dad?
They played you off very cunning, these two sportsmen, Eliza. Now, if there'd been only one of them, well, you would have nailed him. But there was two, you see, one chaperoned the other. Very artful of you, Colonel. But I don't begrudge you. I hold no malice. I would have done the same thing. I've been the victim of one woman after another all my life. No, I don't grudge you two getting one over on Eliza. I shan't interfere. Well, it's time to go, Colonel. So long, Henry. See you in St George's, Eliza.
Do stay with us, Eliza.
Well, Eliza, you've had a bit of your own back, as you like to call it. You had enough? Now you're going to be reasonable, or do you want some more?
You want me back only to pick up your slippers and put up with your tempers and fetch and carry for you?
I haven't said I want you back at all.
Oh, indeed. Then what are we talking about?
Talking about you, not about me. If you decide to come back, I shall treat you just as I've always treated you. I can't change my nature, and I do not intend to change my manners. My manners are exactly the same as Pickering's.
Oh, that's not true. He treats a flower girl as if she were a duchess.
And I treat a duchess as if she were a flower girl.
I see. Same to everyone.
Just so.
Like father.
Without accepting the comparison at all points, Eliza, it is true that your father is not a snob, and that he will be perfectly happy in any station in life to which his eccentric destiny may call him. The great secret, Eliza, is not having good manners or bad manners or any other particular sort of manner, but in having the same manner for all human souls. In short, behaving as though one were in heaven where there are no third-class carriages, and one human soul is as good as another.
Amen. You're a born preacher.
The question, Eliza, is not whether I treat you rudely, but whether you ever heard me treat anyone else better.
I don't care how you treat me. I don't mind you swearing at me. I shouldn't mind a black eye I've had one before this, but I won't be passed over.
Then get out of my way, for I shan't stop for you. You talk about me as though I was some kind of motor bus.
Oh, you are a motor bus, all bounce and go and no consideration for anyone. I can do without you, don't you think I can't?
I know you can. I told you you could.
I know you did. You brute. You wanted to get rid of me.
Liar.
Oh, thank you.
You never asked yourself, I suppose, whether I could do without you.
Don't you try and get round me. You'll have to do without me.
I can do without anybody. I have my own soul, my own spark of divine fire. But I shall miss you, Eliza. I have learnt something from your idiotic notions. I confess that humbly and gratefully. And I have grown accustomed to your voice and your appearance. I like them rather.
Well, you have them both on your gramophone and in your book of photographs. When you feel lonely without me, you can just turn the machine on. It has no feelings to hurt.
Yes, but I can't turn your soul on. Leave me those feelings. You can take the voice and the face. They are not you.
Oh, you are a devil. Oh, you can twist the heart in a girl as easy as someone twist her arms to hurt her. Oh, Mrs. Pierce has warned me. Time and again she has wanted to leave you. And you always got around her at the last minute. And you don't care a bit about her. And you don't care a bit for me.
I care about life, about humanity, and you are a bit of it that has come my way and been built into my house. What more can you or anybody ask?
I won't care for anyone who doesn't care for me.
Commercial principles, Eliza, like showing violets, isn't it?
Don't sneer at me. It's me to sneer at me.
I have never sneered at anybody in my life. Sneering becomes neither the human face nor the human soul. I was merely expressing my righteous contempt for commercialism. I don't and won't trade in affection. Now, you call me a brute because you couldn't buy a claim on me by fetching my slippers and carrying my spectacles. Oh, I think you're a fool. I think a woman who carries a man's glasses and fetches a man's slippers is a disgusting sight. Did I ever fetch your slippers? No, I think far more of you for having thrown them in my face. No use slaving for me and then wanting to be cared for. Who cares for a slave? You come back, Eliza, you come back for the sake of good fellowship, for you get nothing else. You've had 1,000 times more out of me than I've had out of you. And if you dare set up your little doggy's tricks of fetching and carrying slippers against my creation of a duchess, Eliza, I'll slam the door in your silly face.
What did you do it for if you didn't care for me?
Because it was my job.
You never thought of the trouble it would make for me.
Would the world ever have been made if its maker had been afraid of making trouble? Making life means making trouble. The only way of escaping trouble is killing things. Cowards you'll notice are always shrieking to have troublesome people killed.
I'm no preacher. I don't notice things like that. I notice that you don't notice me.
Oh, Eliza, you are a fool. I waste the treasures of my Miltonic mind by spreading them before you. Understand, once and for all, that I go my way and I do my work without caring tuppence what happens to either of us. I'm not intimidated like your father and your stepmother. So you can either come back or go to the devil, whatever you please.
What am I to come back for?
It's for the fun of it! That's why I took you on.
But you throw me out again tomorrow if I don't do everything you want me to.
Yes, and you may walk out tomorrow if I don't do everything you want me to.
No, I want to live with my stepmother.
It's all sell flowers.
If only I could go back to my flower basket. I should be independent of both you and Father and all the world. Why did you take my independence from me? Why did I give it up? I'm a slave now for all my fine clothes.
Well, that is it. I'll adopt you as my daughter and settle money on you. Would you rather marry Pickering?
I wouldn't marry you if you asked me, and you're near my age of what he is.
Dan, he is not that.
Oh, talk as I like, you're not my teacher now.
I don't suppose Pickering would, though. He's as confirmed an old bachelor as I am.
It's not what I wanted, don't you think it? I've always had chaps enough wanting me that way. Freddie Hill writes to me 2 and 3 times a day, sheets and sheets.
Dan, he's impudent.
Oh, he's a right to if he likes. Poor lad. And he does love me.
You have no right to encourage him.
Every girl has a right to be loved.
What, by fools like that?
But he's not a fool. And if he's weak and poor and wants me, well, maybe he'd make me happier than my betters that bully me and don't want me.
Yes, but can he make anything of you? That's the point.
Well, perhaps I can make something of him. But I never thought of us making anything of one another. And you never think of anything else. I only want to be natural.
In short, you want me to be as infatuated by you as Freddie, is that it?
No, I don't. That's not the sort of feeling I want from you, and don't you be too sure of yourself, or of me. I could have been a bad girl if I'd liked. I've seen more of some things than you for all your learning. Girls like me can drag gentlemen down to make love to them easy enough. And they wish each other dead the next moment.
Well, of course they do. Then what in thunder are we arguing about?
I want a little kindness. I know I'm a common, ignorant girl and you a book-learned gentleman, but I'm not down under your feet. What I done, what I did, was not for the dresses and the taxis. I did it because we were pleasant together. And I came to care for you. Not to want you to make love to me. And not forgetting the difference between us, but more friendly, like.
Well, of course. That's just how I feel. And how Pickering feels. Oh, Eliza, you're a fool.
That's not a proper answer to give me.
Yes, well, it's all you're going to get until you stop behaving like a common idiot. If you're going to be a lady, you've got to stop feeling neglected. If the men you know don't spend half their time snivelling over you and the other half their time giving you black eyes. If you can't stand the coldness and strain of my sort of life, then go back to the gutter. Work until you're more a brute than a human being, and cuddle and squabble and drink until you fall asleep. Oh, it's a fine life, the life of the gutter. It's real, it's warm, it's violent. You can feel it through the thickest skin, you can smell it and taste it without any work, any training, not like art or literature or classical music or philosophy or science. You find me cold. I'm feeling selfish, don't you? Very well, then you better go back to the sort of people that you like. Marry some sentimental hog or other with lots of money and a thick pair of lips to kiss you with and a thick pair of boots to kick you with. If you can't appreciate what you've got, you better get what you can appreciate.
Oh, you are a cruel tyrant. I can't talk to you. You turn everything against me. I'm always in the wrongs. But you know all along that you are nothing but a bully. You know well I can't go back to the gutter, as you call it. And that I have no real friends in the world but you and the cub. You know well I couldn't bear to live with a lone, common man after the two of you, and it's wicked and cruel of you to insult me by pretending I could. You think that I must go back to Wimpole Street because I have nowhere else to go but Father's well. Don't you be too sure that you have me under your feet to be trampled and called names. I'll marry Freddie. Just as soon as I'm able to support him.
Marry Freddie? That young fool? That poor idiot that couldn't get a job as an errand boy even if he had the guts to try for one? Woman, do you not understand? I have made you a consort for a king!
Freddie loves me. That makes him king enough for me. I wouldn't want him to work. He wasn't brought up to it as I was. I'll go and be a teacher.
What will you teach in heaven's name?
What do you taught me? I'll teach phonetics.
What? Teach my methods, my discoveries. You take one step in that direction, I'll wring your neck. Do you hear me?
Bring away, what do I care? I knew you'd strike me someday. Oh, now I know how to deal with you. What a fool I was not to think of it before. You can't take away the knowledge you gave me. You said I had a finer ear than you. And I could be civil and kind to people, which is more than you can. Oh, that's done you, Henry Higgins, the dad. And I don't care that. For your bullying and your big talk. I'll advertise it in the papers that your Duchess is only a flower girl that you taught. And that she'll teach anyone else to be a Duchess, just the same, in 6 months for over 1,000 guineas. Oh, when I think of myself crawling under your feet, to be trampled and called names, but all this time, I had only to lift up my little finger to be as good as you. I could just kick myself.
Damned impudent slut, you. But it's better than snivelling. It's better than fetching and carrying slippers, isn't it? My George, Eliza, I said I'd make a woman of you, and I have. I like you like this.
Oh, yes. Yes, you can turn around and make up to me now that I'm not afraid of you. And can do without you.
Well, of course, like 5 minutes ago, you were like a millstone around my neck. Now you're a tower of strength, a consort faction. And you and me and Pickering shall be 3 old bachelors instead of only 2 men and a silly girl.
The carriage is waiting. Are you ready, Eliza?
Quite. Is the professor coming?
Certainly not. He can't behave himself in church. He makes remarks out loud on the clergyman's pronunciation.
Then I shall not see you again, Professor. Goodbye.
Goodbye, dear.
Eliza! Order a ham, Stilton cheese, and buy me a new pair of reindeer gloves, size 8, and a new tie to affect that new suit of mine. You can choose the colour.
Number 8s are too small for you, if you want them lined with lambswool. You have 3 new ties that you've forgotten about in the drawer of your washstand. Colonel Pickering prefers double Gloucester to Stilton, and you don't notice the difference. I telephoned Mrs. Pierce this morning not to forget the ham. What you ought to do without me, I cannot imagine.
I'm afraid you've spoilt that girl, Henry. I should be uneasy about you and her if she were less fond of Colonel Pickering.
Pickering? Nonsense. She's going to marry Freddie. Freddie.